This week, I talk about my favorite books that I read in August. If you'd like to hear more, stay tuned. Hey, so I'm Christy, and like I've said in some previous videos, I'm new to YouTube. In the last year, in 2024, I have read over 100 books so far. I'm currently reading the 107th book. I pretty much exclusively listen to audiobooks because I am a very slow reader and I get easily distracted. And in the past, my goal was always to do 10 to 12 books in a year, and I've never met that goal until last year when I started embracing audiobooks. And I didn't really get into them until the end of the year, and I'd read like 16 by the end of the year, and I was like, wow, maybe I can do more. So because of all that, I decided to start a YouTube channel. So to just kind of give other people ideas of books that I have enjoyed, and I think maybe you might enjoy. So in August of 2024, I read a total of 13 books, and I DNF'd one. 3 of the books I read, I gave 5 stars. 3 of the books I gave 4.5 stars. 2 books I gave 4 stars. 3 books I gave 3.5 stars. 2 books I gave 3 stars. And that's it. I didn't give any 1 or 2 stars this month. So that's good. Okay, so the book that I DNF'd was Jade City by Vonda Lee. I got 2 hours and 18 minutes long. Now, this is a long book. I got 2 hours and 18 minutes in, and I was like, I can't do it. I hard DNF'd it. I do not have any plans to go back to it. It was not grabbing me. I am really trying to find the fantasy subgenre that I like. I love Lord of the Rings. I love, so I'm trying to find some other books, and I've been watching a lot of people's videos about the fantasy books that they enjoy. And Jade City came up, and a lot of people really highly recommended it. Not for me. And I can't even really tell you what it was about the book that just finally was like, I can't take it anymore. So if you enjoyed it, yay, I'm glad for you. Did not catch my attention. All right, so the books that I did complete were, so we're going to start with number 1, Shady Hollow, and that's the first in the Shady Hollow series, and I haven't read any of the others yet, but the first one by Juneau Black. It is 6 hours and 16 minutes long. I gave it 4.5 stars. Cassandra Campbell did a fantastic job at the narration. I don't really know why I didn't give this a 5-star, but it could have been a 5-star. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it. I actually got my husband into reading it, and he was kind of shocked that he was enjoying it. I was shocked that I enjoyed this because this did not sound anything. I love mysteries, but animals, I just like, is this a child's book? No, it's not a child's book. There's like talk of infidelity and stuff like that, so it's not a children's book. Maybe like high school age would probably enjoy it, but it's good. It's good. So it's about these animals who live in the forest. They're forest animals, and there's a fox that's kind of new to town, and she is a reporter, but she has a history of being an investigative reporter. Well, the old cantankerous toad in town shows up dead, and it's clear it's been a murder, and so she starts investigating the murder, and it doesn't sound that catching, but I tell you, the audiobook she brings it to life, and I was bought in. Good book. Good cozy mystery for the fall too, if you want to read that. The next book that I read was Malice House, and it was the first it says the Malice Compendium. I think there's only 2 books. I don't know if there's going to be more, but I think there's 2. The author is Megan Shepherd. Katie Score did a good job with the narration. It was 12 hours and 58 minutes long, and I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't bad, and I really liked the unique take on things. It's a paranormal story, so if you're not into paranormal, you're not gonna like that. But it's not like it's paranormal horror. There is a horror element to it, but it's not like slasher horror, if that makes sense. um, so this girl, she has an estranged relationship with her dad, and he dies. So she goes to kind of finish packing up the rest of his belongings and all that kind of stuff. And when she's there, he kind of went off the rails. He had Alzheimer's or some type of dementia, and but before that really set in, he started having some really crazy ideas that people thought he was just nuts. Come to find out, his house is haunted, for lack of a better word. And so when she comes back at the house, she starts experiencing these crazy things. So it's a pretty good book. I would like to read the second one, but anyway, I gave it 4 stars. It's a good book. It would be good for fall if you're into the spooky books in the fall. That would be a great one. You know, a haunted house book. Great. The next book that I read was The Ballot and the Bible: How Scripture Has Been Used and Abused in American Politics and Where We Go From Here. And it's by Kaitlyn Schiess, and she does the narration. She did a good job. I love Kaitlyn. I listen to her on the Holy Post. If you listen to Holy Post, you'll be very familiar with who she is. Anyway, this book was 6 hours and 27 minutes long. I gave it a 3.5-star rating, and I kind of hated to give it that low of a rating, but it's really probably just on me. She did a great job. Oops, sorry. She did a great job with the book, but to me, it was nothing that I hadn't already. Well, for the most part, she did have some new stuff, but there was a lot in there that I'm like, I feel like I've read a lot about that lately. So if you haven't read a lot about politics and how um, the Bible has been used and abused to, you know, go with a certain idea, political idea, cultural, what is it, culture war type idea, then you might really enjoy this book. But and I did enjoy it. She did a great job. But it just, like I said, I've read a lot lately, and yeah. The next book I read was Ghosted, an American Story by Nancy French. This is another nonfiction. It's kind of her memoir so far of her life. She's had a lot of stuff happen since this book has come out, and this book is pretty much came out this year. So maybe, yeah, I think it was this year. And she had a lot of stuff starting to happen to her at the end of last year. So she's gone through even more stuff. But this book, it kind of starts back in her high school age and her high school years, and tells about um, some really horrible stuff she went through, you know, in her youth and even in college and even in her young adult. And she became a ghostwriter for mainly politically right and Christian authors. And but then when her and her husband, David French, who is a constitutional lawyer, started speaking out against Trump during the first election, um, she started losing jobs and like losing work where she normally would have gotten a lot of work. Um, and so it's kind of her story about coming out and being ghosted as a ghostwriter because of her political stance. Anyway, this book was a 5-star for me. It was fantastic. She did her own narration and she did a fantastic job. I don't know if I said that it was 9 hours and 56 minutes long, but cannot recommend this book enough. So, so good. Even if you're not into politics or you're not a Christian, you might really find her story compelling. The next book I read was Finlay Donavan is Killing It, the first book in the Finlay Donavan series. This is the first book, obviously, I just said that. It's the first book I've read. It's by Elle Cosimano. and Angela Daw did a good job with the narration. It is 9 minutes and 59. It is 9 hours and 59 minutes long, and I gave it 4 stars. It was good. It was hilarious. Highly recommend this book. I'm not sure if I'll read the sequels. I don't know why. I'm just like, okay, that was fun. And I don't know if I will get into any more of them. Now, I will say I recommended this to my sister-in-law who is stationed in Japan, and she loved it. She read, like, I think at least 3 of them. I don't know how many there are, but I think she may have read all of them. I don't know, but she said she loved them. So I'm going to pause for a minute. Sorry, I had to pause for a minute because the other day I went to the park and filmed 4 videos for this channel and got home and wanted to edit them, and no audio. Also, I got a new mic. Not sure if I'm liking the sound quality. I may have to play around with it. We'll see. It came highly recommended, but it's kind of a cheap mic. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, back to it. All right. Then I read Ironclads. It's the first book in the Terrible Worlds Revolution series. It is by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It is 4 hours and 8 minutes long. Peter Noble did an okay job. This wasn't my favorite, but I will say I think Adrian Tchaikovsky is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. I don't rate his books super high, like they're not all 5 stars, but I go back and I keep thinking about what he wrote, and I think I'm really liking his writing. He's a sci-fi writer, and I'm so far I'm really enjoying his stuff. So, like I said, I gave this one a 3.5 star rating. It was okay. I kind of got lost at one point, I think, because I have a blank in my memory, but it was very action packed, and I would actually recommend it if you really like sci-fi, and especially if you like kind of war type. What is it? Near future war type books, alternate or possible future for the Earth, climate, catastrophe type stuff. Anyway, I recommend. The next book I read was Rogue Protocol, and it was the 3rd book in the the Murderbot Diaries, by Martha Wells. It was 3 hours and 46 minutes long. I will say the first 4 are very short. I'm currently reading the 5th one, and it's like 13 hours long, I think, something like that. So it's way longer. But yeah. Oh, actually, I read Rogue Protocol, and then right after that, I read Exit Strategy, the 4th book, and it was 3 hours and 46 minutes long. They were both 3 hours 46 minutes long. Kevin Freed did a good job with the narration, and they are in plans to make this into like a TV show or miniseries or movie or something like that. I gave both of these 4.5. These books, Murderbot Diaries, they are so good. If you like sci-fi, these books are really, really good. Even if you don't like sci-fi, they're funny, they're clever, they're witty. I can't brag on them enough. They're really, really good. I got my husband into reading them, and he has like surpassed me. I think there's only 6 so far, and he has read that. So he's like, "Would you hurry up and finish these? I want to talk to you about them." So anyway, very good books. I will say the first 4 books are kind of along the same story, and then it's like the 5th book is like the start of a new series, like in a TV show, like a new season, if you will. So it's all the same, but there's a new storyline, new story arc, I guess, going on. Okay, the next book I read was for the neighborhood book club I'm in, and it was Part of Your World. It was the first book in the Part of Your World series by Abby Jimenez. It was 10 hours and 5 minutes long. Julia Whelan and Zachary Weber did a good job with the narration. I gave this book 3 stars, and I think I may have changed it later to 2 stars. Okay, I hate romance. I just really don't like romance. And what I really, really, really hate about romance is any of the open door romance. I don't want to come off as a prude or anything. It's just not my thing. I don't want to hear about it, okay? I don't want to hear about it. I get that some people really enjoy that. More power to you. Not my thing. So this book, the first scene that things happen, I was like, okay, well, maybe that's it. Oh, no, no, no. It just keeps going. So if you're really into open door romance, by all means. It's like Hallmark movie and smut got together. It was not my thing. Not my thing. I was at first I thought I was very surprised at how much the story didn't really, really suck. I expected it to be awful because romance. um and it wasn't just awful. I mean the main storyline. Um I didn't make it to book club, and it's probably a good thing. Now, a lot of the girls really, really like this. I know a lot of people really love Abby Jimenez, and I am glad that there is diversity in what people like. She is not for me, and that's great. I'm glad I read it to know that I don't need to read any more of her books. So yeah, not my thing. Might be your thing. Let me know. I know a lot of people really, really like her. The next book I read was Death by Dumpling, and the first book in the Noodle Shop Mysteries, by Vivien Chien, I think is her name. Cheryl May did a okay job with the narration, and it's 8 hours and 25 minutes long. I gave it 3.5 stars. I definitely enjoyed this more than The Part of Your World. It was a good palate cleanser. Um, but it just wasn't my favorite. I don't plan on reading any more of these. I think I had more high, I don't know, more expectations of it, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really know anything about this book going into it. And even if I did, I probably would have read it because it sounded exactly like something down my alley, but meh. Um, I will say it felt to me there was too many characters and it felt very convoluted, and I don't know, I felt a little confused through some of it. And maybe that would be the difference if I read it as an actual book versus an audiobook, but I felt a little confused in it. So the next book I read was Return to the Irish Boarding House. This is the second in the Irish Boarding House series. Now, pause. I am currently working on filming videos about the past months of the year to kind of catch up. And I think the month before I had read the first book. And spoiler for that next video, these books. Okay, first off, by Sandy Taylor. I cannot pronounce the lady's name who reads this, who narrates it. Her first name is spelled Aoife. It is Irish. And McMahon is her last name. I don't know how to pronounce that. I wish I had some Irish friends that could help me. Anyway, she did a fantastic job, regardless. This one is 8 hours and 1 minute long and 5 stars. I cannot express how much I enjoyed these two books. Now, I will say that this one, I kept thinking, I'm not going to cry on this one. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And I ended up at like midnight in the bathroom so my husband wouldn't hear me, bawling my eyes out and messaging the author to tell her how much that book touched me. It is a book about a woman who is left money by her mother, and her grandparents die, and her mother abandoned her when she was a baby, and then she finds out that she has inherited a lot of money from her mother. So she uses that money to start a boarding house for women who need a safe place to live without somebody hassling them for money all the time. So just the stories, and it's all about women. So if you're really looking for a book about women and in different life experiences, so good, so good. Um, the last scene, one of the last things that happens in the second book, I would love to talk about, but it would be such a huge spoiler. I don't want to talk about it, but it meant so much to me because of an experience that I have had recently, and it just was, it was so beautiful. I don't want to talk about it, or I'm going to start crying again. All right, the next book that I read, I may tick a lot of people off with this one. Like I said, I'm trying to find the fantasy genre, subgenre that I like. So I read another one of the highest recommended books, The Poppy War, the first in the Poppy War series by RF Kuang. Emily Wu Zeller did a okay job at the narration. It was not, sorry, I'm listening to my kids in there. It is 19 minutes and 19 hours and 27 minutes long. I gave this a 3, and I'm kind of thinking I went back and rated it a 2, changed my rating to a 2. I didn't on my notes that I have here, but I'm pretty sure I rated that one a 2. So I guess I've had 2 books this particular month that I changed to a 2. I did not like this book at all. I probably could have rated it a 1, except that I really liked the first part, and I thought it had so much potential, and it was going really well. And then it's like we flipped into a different book, and everything was weird from that point on. And okay, let me say, I understand that this book is written, especially the horrific, graphic, horrifying part of the book that people talk about. I understand that that is written from an actual thing that happened in history, and that makes it even more horrifying and graphic and like absolutely horrifying. I will say, if you have children, if you want to have children, if you love children, if you have experience with children, especially if you have children, if you have your own children, don't read this book. There is stuff that is talked about that happens to children and babies. And I know that this happened for real. And I have so much, my heart goes out to that happening. And I really wish it hadn't happened, and I wish I didn't know that it happened. And I understand the education side of it, of it is good to know the horrifying, horrible things that have happened in history. And I'm glad in a way that I know that. But at the same time, it is horrifying. I know I keep using that word, but there is no better word. It is horrifying what people can do to other people. And I'm glad this isn't something that just came out of her head. I mean, I really wish it was, but at least that means she's not a wacko. But oh my gosh, I did not like this book. And again, it had nothing. I mean, it does have some to do with the graphic, horrifying stuff. But even at that, I probably wouldn't have rated it very high, because I felt like this book was at least 2, possibly 3 separate books. And I mean, in different, almost like completely different characters. Like the character who started the book is not the character who ends the book, or is the character in the middle of the book. And while I understand the growth of a character, I don't understand how these changes happen. Like there was no explanation of why this character is this way in this part of the book, but then all of a sudden it's very different. And in this part of the book, very different. Now I'm going to make people mad on saying that. That's fine. Everybody has their own opinions on books, but that's how I felt. I was very confused. Okay. The last book that I read, we'll end on a high note, is The Bullet That Missed, The Thursday Murder Club, Book 3 by Richard Osman. This book is 11 hours and 16 minutes long. Fiona Shaw did a fantastic job of with the narration. And this is being made into a TV show through Netflix, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I just finished book 4 this month in September, and I cannot tell you how good these books are. They are so good. I cannot wait to read more. He is going to return to this series and make more books for this series, but right now he has started another one. So I can't wait to read that one either. He is definitely at least a favorite author for this year. I would like to read a few more things before I say he is my favorite author or is a favorite author of mine. I can't say that I have a favorite author. I have a favorite author for this and a favorite author for this genre and that one. So, Anyway, so that was my month. I don't want to say too much about the Thursday Murder Club because it's a series of books, and they're murder mysteries, they're getting hard to find right now. Like if you're trying to get them on Libby or something because of the expectation of the TV show coming out, and people want to read them before the TV show. So I have some friends that have had a hard time finding copies from their library. But if you're a hard, solid book reader, like a physical book reader, I'd recommend buying it. And if you're not, if you have Audible, I'd get it on that. But I can't recommend those books enough. Okay, well, that is August, and I will be posting some more videos for some of my previous months soon. I know that's very confusing, but I just want to get. This has been a very monumental year for me as far as reading goes, and I want to document it. So I now have a microphone. So hopefully it gets better. I don't know. After this video, I may not like the audio, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I got some lights and a stand, so hopefully I can have some at least a little bit better videos, not in my car. So I hope everyone has a good rest of their week and get some good reading done. And let me know, have you read any of these books? Do you passionately disagree with me? Or did you find some books that sounded interesting to you? So let me know. Oh, and if you have a recommendation, I have the world's longest to beat TBR, but I'm always willing to add to it. So I'll talk to you later, and have a good week.